So I wanted to do a book recommendations video, but I couldn't think of what video I wanted to do, so I thought of this one. If I could only recommend you 10 books, it would be these 10 books. These are my top 10 books right now. Like, I feel like my top 10 books change every so often because I'm like, oh, I love this book, and then I forget about other ones. These are my, right now, when I was looking at my shelves, if I could only recommend you 10, it would be 10. I will say some of these are series, but like the first book in the series, and I'd recommend the whole series. But if I could only recommend you one in the series, it would be this one. You know what I mean? Anyway. Also, I have the hiccups. They won't go away. This is like the third clip I'm filming today, or video I'm filming, or for whatever, and I've had to keep taking pauses to hiccup in between, and like, they won't go away. I can't get rid of them. So, not that I really tried. I probably like to drink water or something to get rid of them, but like I haven't. So they're still here. Starting off, I don't have a order to do this. I'm just gonna pick them up from the way they're on my floor and then show you. That was an awful hiccup. Anyway, first, Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte. I don't know how to say her second name. This author. I read this book this year, like in like January, and it has become one of my favorite books ever. I do think about it all the time. I think I rated it like a 4 stars when I first read it, but honestly, I think it might be like a 4.75. Not quite 5 stars, but like a 4.75. I don't know what this book is marketed as. I thought it was a thriller, but I think it's more definitely on the fiction side. It's very character driven. If you don't like a character driven book, maybe this one won't be for you. You basically follow this family on an island. You get everyone's point of view. It's point of view, yeah. This, you follow a family that live on this secluded island. Like, it's only them on the island as a father, and then his 3 kids. There's no one else on the island, and one day a woman washed ashore, and she doesn't really remember why she's there because she's been like washed ashore. She is alive, she's not dead, but she can't really remember what's going on. She was in the water or whatever. She's trying to figure out why she's there. They're trying to figure out why she's here. She's very suspicious. And you do just follow them through this living on this island. You get all their point of views. It is a very slow paced book, very character driven, like I said. So if you are getting, like, if you're in a slump or something, this probably wouldn't be the right book to pick up because it is so slow. It took me so long to read because of how slow pacing it was, but it was so good. Next, I have Broken Country by Claire Lizzie Hall, another one of my favorite books ever. I read this, I think oh fuck, I can't stop hiccuping. I'm gonna kill myself. Because you follow our main character, I figure her name's Beth, through 3 different timelines. You get the first timeline where she is, I think, like 16, she meets her first love. You kind of follow them throughout their whole summer. Then you get years later when she is married to someone else, they have a child together, and then her first love comes back into her life. And then you have present day, which is a murder trial, and you're like, who got murdered, who's the killer, what's going on. But them chapters are very, oh my god, them chapters are very sparse. You don't get a lot of those chapters, so it just keeps you getting right until the end. This is also, I would say, very, very character driven, but it's very fast paced. It's not slow pacing like the other one. This is very fast, and the chapters are really short. Like, they're like 4 pages max. Another one of my favorite books literally ever. Obviously these are all my favorite books ever because I wouldn't recommend them. If I had only 10 books to recommend, I would recommend these. Obviously they're my favorite books ever. Oh my god, I can't stop hiccuping. You're supposed to hold your breath when you're hiccuping. Hang on. But I hiccup in between holding my breath, so I don't think that works either. Anyways, moving on. Next, I have Before We Were Strangers by Renee Carlino. I've talked about this book quite a bit on here, but it's one of my 6-star reads, why wouldn't I? This is set in the 90s in New York, second chance romance. Best romance book I've ever read. This, you follow Matt and Grace at the very beginning. They haven't spoken in years, but he sees her on, I think, the subway, and then he goes on this like mad hunt to try and find her and track her down. And then you get the past chapters, but it's not done like a past, present. You get the present day, and then you get all of the before, all of the past, and then until it gets back up into present day again, which I really like that a lot better than past and present. Really, really fast paced. I think the chapters are pretty short. Maybe they're not actually, but it is really fast paced, so it doesn't feel very long. I think I read like the whole last maybe 60% in one night. Like, I was obsessed with this book. Next, I have The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is a 4-book series, but you can just read the first and stop, I guess, but I would recommend the whole series if you're going to read the first one. This is a YA thriller, and I feel like I'm slowly moving away from like YA romances, but YA thrillers are still my favorite things ever. As you follow, I think, 5 teenagers, and they are recruited by the FBI to solve cold cases, because they all have like different talents. One's a really good, like, she's like a human lie detector, one's a good profiler, one can read people's emotions really well, and they end up being recruited by the FBI, and you follow them through trying to solve all these murders. There's 4 books. The first one and the third one are my favourites. You're following the main character Cassie, but in each book you kind of get a background in each of the different teenagers and why they are the way they are. The 4th book is definitely my favourite. It's set in a casino. I think that's why it was my favourite, I just like the setting. Next I have Cassie Was Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid, another 6-star read. I read this, I think, oh my god, it must have been 2020, maybe 2023, maybe 2024. I remember it was in March and I was reading it in a hotel, or finishing it in a hotel. Best book I've ever read. Like genuinely, I wish I could erase this from my brain and reread it again because it was so perfect. This we follow Cassie, and she is Cassie? Oh my god. Why did I say Cassie? Oh, it's because the main character in this book is in Cassie, so I got a bit confused. Okay, I'm tired. This we follow Carrie, and she is a retired tennis player. Now when she was a tennis player, she was the best tennis player in the world, but obviously she is now retired, and she was watching, I think it's the US Open. Someone is about to break her record and she's like, I can't have this, I need to come back, I want to be the best of the best. So she used to train with her dad, so she comes out of retirement with her dad and he trains her up again and she goes back to playing tennis. It is so good, and you don't have to like know a lot about tennis to read this. I didn't know a lot about tennis before going into this, but after this I was like, I wanted to go watch tennis. It is, oh my god, the most perfect book ever. If I could recommend you one book, it would be this one. Next I have Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. This is another 5-star read. This is a third book in a companion like series. This is Part of Your World, Yours Truly, and then this one. I would recommend reading all of them but in the correct order, because the way they connect at the end is the best thing I've read. Jaw was on the floor when I read that. This you follow Emma and Justin. They both basically have this curse where whenever they date someone, that when they break up, the other person ends up going off to find like the love of their life. So they end up meeting through Reddit, and they say, okay, if we date, then if we break up, we'll find the love of our lives. And that's kind of what you follow through. There was so much more to this book. I feel like Abby Jimenez's books are so perfect for, you start the book as like a rom-com, they meet in like a silly way, and then by the end of the book you're bawling your eyes out because of how much you've gone through with these characters. And I cannot wait for her new book. I think it might be out, I don't know when this video is going up, but it should be out around the time this video goes up, and I cannot wait. But I definitely would recommend reading all 3 of the books. I recommend all of her books. This series in particular is my favourite thing ever. And then I have Lover Design by Lauren Asher. This is the first book in the Lakefront Billionaire series. I love Lauren Asher's writing. Abby Jimenez, Lauren Asher, 2 favourite authors ever. This series you follow just billionaires and they live in like a small town. This is Julian and I think Dahlia is how you say it, I'm not too sure. Dahlia comes back home, Julian like renovates houses, she comes in and she's helping him, and forced proximity, their parents are really funny, like their moms really want them to be together, and it's so funny watching them try like set them up with each other. But this series is so perfect. I know they're long, they're very long romance books. This is almost 600 pages and they're all pretty lengthy. I recommend every book in this series. This one obviously is my favourite, but I recommend all 3. They're interconnected standalones. You don't have to read them in order if you don't want to. Then I have The Love Wager by Lynn Painter. This is one of her new adult romances. I know she's known for her young adult, but this is her new adult, and I definitely prefer her new adult romances. This one you follow Hallie and Jack, and they meet, I think, on a dating app. They go on a date. They're not really feeling like a romantic connection, but they did get on really well, so they decide to go on more dates with other people, but they set them up for the same restaurant so that after the dates are over, they, you know, can talk about the dates, discuss about the dates, and then they end up fake dating to a wedding, which I love a wedding in a book, especially fake dating to a wedding. Perfect. This was the most fast-paced book I think I've ever read. I flew through this. It was literally my favourite thing ever. It's very short chapters. Pacing is so quick. You fly through this. I could read this in one day. Such a good book. Then I have The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. I read this at the end of last year, I'm pretty sure. It is the most heartwarming book you ever will read. You will ever read. It basically follows a guy named Linus, and he has to go to an orphanage to make sure that they can stay open. The person that's over the orphanage I really struggle with the word orphanage, I don't know why. The person that owns it basically or is running it is not like keeping the reports up. But the children at the orphanage are like considered dangerous, like they're not like normal children, they're magical children. So he gets there and he's living with them, and it's so, I can't even describe, you have to just read it and go into it. I don't want to say too much because it is one of the best books I've ever read. It's so heartwarming. I would love to see this as a movie. It gave me a very nostalgic feeling of like a kid's movie, but it's not in like a childish way, like a Nanny McPhee. The perfect book ever. I think everyone should read this book. I don't think anyone could read this book and not like it. Next I have Wildfire by Hannah Grace. This one that comes after Icebreaker, but I don't think you necessarily need to read Icebreaker to go into this one. This you follow Russ and Aurora, and they end up having a one-night stand and don't expect to ever see each other again, and then they end up both being camp counselors at the same camp, and there's a no staff fraternizing rule, so they have to keep their distance. But highly recommend, obviously. And they are all the 10 books. If I could only recommend you 10 books, it would be those 10. I've been recording this video for 20 minutes and the hiccups are still here. I'm gonna go drink like a whole liter of water or something to get rid of them. Anyway, that is it. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you've read any of these, any books that would be in your top recommendations. If you had to recommend 10 books or maybe 5 books, maybe you don't want to type out a whole 10. That's asking a bit much of everyone. But they're all my top 10 recommendations. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you so soon in the next one. Bye.